Hello, welcome to Ride with Nick, where this week we are reviewing this Multistrada 950S, which is a kind of adventure touring sports bike. So this is one of these hybrid bikes, but it's a very modern phenomenon. It kind of covers three different categories. It covers the touring category because it's comfortable. It covers the adventure category because it's practical, and it covers the sports category because it's sporty. This is about £12,500, which puts it bang into line with the Triumph 900 Pro and also the BMW 850 GS. We will start where we usually do, round the front. And coming round this bike, just taking it in as a motorcycle, it's a very good looking thing to my eye. Plenty of wind protection, very distinctive, very Ducati. Coming down here, we have 48mm semi-active Showa suspension, and this has a manually adjustable preload up at the top. We're running a 19-inch cast road wheel, and this has Pirelli Scorpion Trail 2s, and that's a 120/70/19. We've got two floating 320mm discs, and of course we've got the quintessential Brembo 4-pot calipers. These are radially mounted, and they're a lovely monoblock caliper. It's a liquid-cooled engine. You've got the radiator tucked in very neatly there behind the front forks, and involved in all this scoopy, swoopy bodywork, we've got an oil cooler very neatly tucked into the beak here. Coming back up and over, it's a 20-litre tank. It's a very manageable 840mm seat height. We have roughly all in 207 kilos on this motorcycle. And then here, this is the new 5-inch Ducati TFT screen, which controls all of the active electronics on the bike. You have got ABS, you've got traction control, you've got engine power adjustability, you've got suspension adjustability. It's all locked into the hub here, operated by this switchgear on the left-hand side. This is the quintessential Ducati 937cc liquid-cooled 8-valve V-twin engine. And of course it's nestling in this here, which is a tubular steel trellis frame. Again, these are all signature Ducati trademarks. This is putting out 111 horsepower, 71 foot-pounds of torque, absolutely plenty, and they say it's good for 130 miles an hour. There is a lot of catalytic converter tucked neatly away under here, but it does allow you to come up into this very, very dinky and aesthetically pleasing titanium exhaust system. There's nothing to it. It's like a tiny little suitcase. We've got a very un-Ducati-like heavy cast two-sided swing arm, and then up here we have an offset Showa shock with semi-active damping and electronically adjustable preload back up there at the TFT screen. We've got a 265mm rear disc, and then we've got a Brembo 2-pot caliper there, keeping all of that together. 17-inch rear wheel, cast road wheel, and that's running a 170/60/17. And again, it's the Pirelli Scorpion Trail 2s. So I very much like what this motorcycle represents. It's very easy on the eye. I'm hoping it's going to be super comfortable, nimble, and quick to ride. These bikes take riders from all of the conventional categories and kind of steal across the board: adventure, sports, and touring. And it's kind of a 3-in-1, which doesn't always work out, but I'm hoping in this particular instance it comes together in a way which is pleasing. Days like today are exactly what this motorcycle is about. You need to embrace the sense of adventure in your soul. Somewhere over there is the city of Edinburgh, and where we're standing is 20 minutes out. It's really no time at all. You've got to go through traffic lights and queues of traffic and lorries and just congestion. Everything's congested. And then you get here and the sun's shining. It's the middle of November in Scotland. The skies are blue, the roads are clear, and we're going to do the East Coast route, which is right on my doorstep. It's not a huge road, but but it's challenging, it's exciting, it really brings out what a motorcycle's made of. The road gets interesting on the other side of Preston Pans, and we're going to follow the east coast all the way up to Aberlady. We're then going to go through Gullen, which is all about golf, golf, golf. Not a golfer, got no love for it, but you ride through all the golf courses. There's more golf at Archerfield, very upmarket, super expensive on the left, and we're going to end up in a very nice artisan cafe, Steampunk, in North Berwick, which is certainly one of my favourite places to hang out. Initial impressions of this bike were not brilliant. It felt a bit clattery and cheap, almost like they'd found lots of bits and pieces in the parts bin and just chucked them together to make something that more people could afford. A sort of budget Ducati, because Ducatis generally, like most things nowadays, are not cheap. So it didn't win me over this morning. However, like so many things in life, once it warms up, it feels much, much better. It starts to make sense. The semi-active suspension in sport mode on roads like this is spot on, it's phenomenal. The traction control is there because there's corners that are wet and slippy. You can just see the lights starting to blink. The gearbox is alright, it's a bit agricultural. Same for the engine. But once it gets warmer and up to speed, it really does batter along quite the thing. So it's safe to say that I've absolutely warmed to it. The riding position is phenomenal. I'm 6 foot and it fits me perfectly. Big wide bars, comfortable seat, all the controls are there, little features like this screen. The design is fantastic, it's so simple and does exactly what you need it to do. It's keeping all of the wind off of me, you can feel it about here. So I really can see how this one bike could do everything. I could do the North Coast 500 on this, no problem at all. I've got panniers, I've got luggage, I've got a decent fuel range, over 220 miles the way it's being ridden at the moment. 220 miles. I've got an open hip joint. My legs are not cramped and curled up like a sports bike. So it's kind of, it's nailing the touring vibe. It's absolutely nailing the sports vibe. Back there on those sets of corners, it comes alive. And with the riding position, it's definitely nailing the whole adventure bike vibe. This is Aberlady, a very upmarket town that I would imagine your average well-heeled Ducati rider would like to live in. And this certainly is the kind of store that I can imagine him stopping to get supplies. This bike has already shown its credentials and nailed the whole sports bike vibe thing. With the B-road and the twisties and the corners that come alive. So now I'm going to put these boys to the test, which I've already started with. I'm going to go and get my 5 a day and see how it handles the whole touring thing. So I'm looking at bananas. Everyone needs bananas. Apparently, Waitrose Dutchy Organic. We need apples. We're gonna go I don't know about Pink Lady. Pink Lady, do you know? Let's take a chance. They're Waitrose. The seedless easy peelers do not look up to scratch, but I'm sure I'll find 3 other things in store. Kombucha. Ginger lemon. Look at this stuff. Oh man, they've got 3 different flavors of kombucha. Raspberry lemonade, ginger lemon, and I'm going to go mango passion. Some of you won't even know what this stuff is. I don't even know if I know what this stuff is, but I'm damn sure it's good for you. Wasabi peas. Is that a thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, and of course, honey roast cashews. Honey roast cashews. That's me. 5. Do you know, I feel healthy just holding this stuff. This has got to be the most healthy stuff I've bought in the last 10 years. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, does it fit? So, in order to operate these panniers, they're a little bit sticky. They're kind of like a Givi style, which I had to get to grips with. You need to unlock them, and then you kind of lift the clip, hold this in, lift, and down. This is the exhaust side, and as you can see, I've already pre-packed my sleeping bag, and I've also packed my GoPro gear and my GoPro clamp. So there is no room whatsoever in this one. This side is smaller, but not only is it smaller, but it's full. I'll go around this side. I'll do the same thing again, and in here, I've got my jacket. Need a jacket. I've got my rucksack. So we're gonna go rucksack in. We're gonna go apples stuffed in there. It's not a bad shape. We're gonna go bananas. We're gonna go bananas. We probably are. Just a bit further up the road though. Honey roast cashews. Kombucha. This is not bad, I have to say. Wasabi peas, and then this jacket, look at that, it's almost like a cupboard in my kitchen. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Do you know, I could still fit an iPad, a charger, my phone, and maybe even a decent motorcycle magazine in there. This is not bad, I'm quite impressed. This bike is nimble, it's eager, it's quick, it's really nailed the whole sports bike upright thing. Upright sports bike, is that a thing? Probably not, but it is now, because that's exactly what this bike does. It's a whole lot of joy. You can just steer the bike through the big wide bars. You're not climbing all over it like a race replica, dragging your leg in order to get more corner speed. The suspension soaks up everything. No complaints at all. The brakes are phenomenal. You would kind of expect that from Brembos, but more importantly, the controls, the master cylinder, the front brake lever, the way they feel in your hand, and the response you get is linear and comfortable and decidedly satisfying. I like it. I didn't when I woke up this morning, but I absolutely do now. So we're nearly at North Berwick and the evening's closing in. We're here at Tom Kitchen's Bonnie Badger restaurant, which does rooms and some of the finest food on the East Coast. However, I'm being punished this week because I blew the budget last week on £86 of Chivarino's sliced pizza. So I've got my wasabi peas, I've got my banana, and I've got my kombucha, and apparently I've got a £10 budget and a sleeping bag. So don't expect much in the way of the high life. Oh Jesus, what the hell are these things looking like? Oh, whoa! I am a little bit guilty of going up the range. I don't know if it's something everyone does, but you kind of look at what the manufacturer's putting out at the top end. And I think that comes with age. I'm not the youth I once was. And you've climbed your way up there. You've gone through the smaller stuff. You've got a bit of money. And you think, do you know, I want the best. I want the best. It's a bit of a cry for our modern day life, isn't it? The best of everything. That's what Dubai's all about. The best of everything. 7-star hotels, top of the range bikes. I'm not touching it if it's not a V4 Pikes Peak or a 1250 GSA or an S1000 XR TE with all the bells and whistles. And it's a mistake. I am mistaken. And maybe you are too, but I certainly am. This bike is an absolute little cracker. And this job, actually, it connects me again with this part of life. I'm glad I'm doing it. I'm very privileged to be doing this job. I'm very lucky to be able to get to go out and play with these things at somebody else's expense. But what it's doing for me, and I'm not sure what it's doing for you, it's reminding me what this is all about. Motorcycling and why we do it. I keep getting given these fantastic little motorbikes at under 10 grand or just over 10 grand or whatever price point. £5,000 doesn't seem to buy you a lot, but it will certainly buy you a bike. I'm digressing, but it's okay, because that's what this bike puts you in connection with, motorcycling. And it's a cracking thing. I've mentioned it, but I'm going to go on about it. You could take this to Europe. You wouldn't be disappointed if you find yourself scratching around Bavaria. You wouldn't be lacking for anything. Thank you. It would handle the motorways. It would handle all the B roads when you got there. It deals with A roads, no problem at all. It tours, yep. It scratches, yep. Adventure bike? What constitutes adventure? I don't know. That's a funny class of bike, adventure bikes. We all want them. They are the most fashionable thing out there, like SUVs. So it's the way. It's very 2022. But I suppose to some extent it means comfortable over long distances. And this adventure bike riding position. The mirrors are great. The screen is great. The little screen here is great. Don't like the fiddly controls on the left. You've got to go into one menu and then go into a menu within a menu, and there's not something clear to confirm. I'm still not quite sure about some of the functions. I'm sure if I read the handbook, man's last resort, it would tell me everything I need to know. But the point is, it's not particularly intuitive. There's a lot of stuff happening on a very few switches. It has nailed the whole throttle response. Only occasionally do you find it catching. Last few bikes I've ridden, the throttle response on this fly-by-wire throttles is horrible. Throttles is horrible, you know what I'm saying. The switchgear's a little cheap if you want to pick away at it, but then the bike's not expensive. The engine is a little bit rattly and agricultural sounding at low speeds, at low revs. When you're not working it hard, it sounds awful. When you're working it hard, it sounds extremely good and kind of fades away underneath you. One thing I have noticed, which I don't think I can say about any other bike I've ridden, is I do have tingly balls. And that's not swearing, that's just telling the truth. I have very tingly balls right now. There's a vibration comes up through this bike, and it's not a vibration as where you're getting white finger at the end of the bars. There's none of that. It's just it's an almost subsexual tingly ball vibration, and there's a part of you that feels very good about it. It makes you feel very good. You're like, yeah, I like that. And there's another very British part of you that feels just a little bit uncomfortable with your own satisfaction at having tingly balls. So we're in North Berwick. I feel that had to come up. My reviews are, if nothing else, complete. And it's probably, when all the rest of this bike has faded from memory, the one thing I will never, ever forget. See, it's a little bit chuntery there, sort of slow speeds. And in second gear, we're in the revs. It kind of chunters ever so slightly. But you know, forget all of that. Forget the objective stuff, the on-paper stats, and all the rest of the stuff you might or might not read about it. If you bought this bike, you would not be disappointed at all. The quality, the Ducatiness, the whole Italian flag waving, it's got something. It's got something very special. And for its price point, and its capacity and its capabilities, it's a very real-world motorcycle. And there's no point faulting it, because you'll like what you've bought. There we are, East Coast, right to the harbour. There you are. There's the inner part of things. Scotland in November. The end of the world. I do love the sea. It's where we run out of being human. You can walk up to a certain point and then you'll be head underneath the water, and then you can't walk any further, and it goes on and on and on forever. What a great little bike, really. I can feel myself absolutely coming around to this motorcycle. This whole Ducati thing. It's got a feel-good factor about it, which is more than the sum of its parts. The lights, the swoopy styling, the way everything works together. It's just a fantastic little motorcycle, and it's completely won me over. I wasn't ready to like it. I wasn't really even ready to warm my heart to the thing, but it's got me. I'm becoming slightly Italian. So when I started out this morning, the whole thing, it didn't creep in. It was cold, it was clattery, it was a bit cheap feeling. Wasn't sure about the quality of the plastics. It had some of the right names and parts, but it didn't feel like they stacked up and came together in a cohesive motorcycle. So I wasn't warmed by it at all. And now I like the brakes. They're perfect. I like the handling. I like the suspension. I like the riding position and the ergonomics. I like the feel of the controls. I still don't like the sound of the engine. Even when you're getting it up to speed, it kind of feels a little bit agricultural, but it works. It absolutely works. And after that ride that we've had today out to the East Coast, I'm sitting here in the sunshine and I'm absolutely smitten. You can't go wrong with that kind of money for that kind of motorcycle. It's a fantastic package, it really is. And that's us at the end of another episode of Ride with Nick. Coffee is good. Good coffee is so much better. If you liked what you liked, then like, subscribe, and I'm now going to head back into town to the studio where we are filming a new episode of Talk Time. Something I'm involved in, something I hope that you can get involved in too. So check it out. See you next week.